The new set 9.5 just hit PBE today, and today we're going to talk about 5 comps that you want to try because they seem fun and new compared to new previous set. Obviously these comps I have no idea if they are going to be strong right now. There is a balance patch every single day on PBE, so what's good now can be bad tomorrow but can be good again the day after. So keep that in mind, and we're here just to try things and have fun. So I think one of the first comp I would like to try is something around Bilgewater and Vanquisher, because it uses 2 4 cost that's completely new, Nyla and Zacha. And we also have Gangplank, of course, and we're using a huge vertical that's Bilgewater. I think we can just limit ourselves at 5, because after it means we have to use kind of useless units, and I don't really like this. And basically, our 2 main carries are Nyla and Zacha. So here I put the Ziggs because this website didn't update the new items, but basically the Ziggs is completely new. It gives a Styrox gauge. Basically, it gives more health and attack damage whenever a unit goes below 60% HP. And it goes very, very well with Bloodthirster because since it gives more health, the shield from Bloodthirster is also multiplied. So this is why I think these 2 plus Edge of Night are going to be very, very good on Nyla. Nyla is a unit that scales with time. The more she casts, the more attack speed she has. So it's kind of interesting to have Edge of Night so she has more time to scale. Another thing I really like is Zacha is going to be more like a support / carry because her ability allows to remove armor. So if you add this with Last Whisper, Nyla will basically hit on people who have no armor, and I think this is going to be a really, really good synergy. And since they are Vanquisher, both units will be able to crit with their ability. So adding a guard breaker on Zacha will amplify her damage. And again, so I think it's still mandatory because she will stack more attack speed, so she will use more and more her ability, removing more and more armor, this kind of stuff. On the other hand, here I would put Gangplank in the back line because in case you don't know Gangplank, you can put either in the front line or back line, and his ability will change, or more like his passive will change. And his ability summons a big boat, so you probably saw it in some clips. It looks completely insane when everyone has Gangplank and you have boats coming from everywhere. But anyway, the boat deals damage, of course, but it also buffs all the allies that's in this trajectory, granting them more attack speed. That's nice for Nyla and Zacha, but also it grants them immunity to ground control for 3 seconds. So Nyla will absolutely love this. And with Bilgewater that deals more damage to people who you attack, I think you can have kind of a good amount of burst damage, and you can delete tanks quite fast and then after go on the backline. The next thing is something about Noxus. So Noxus changes quite a lot. In fact, we have even 4 cost unit Noxus, and I really love that because I felt like this is what was missing in Noxus to make it very fun. And after also now you activate Noxus at 5, not at 6 anymore. This is not updated properly, but it's at 5, so you don't need to have 6 Noxus on the board immediately to have a huge buff on all your units. So here, the way I think we can play Noxus now is obviously still around Darius, but we can still play around Mordekaiser now instead of Katarina. Mordekaiser, maybe you have seen some clips, it's absolutely monstrous if you have the right items. So let's talk about the items. As you can see, these are not updated items. So we have Locator of the Iron Solari, which is going to be changed into AP and Armor. So AP and Armor is Crown Guard. So basically it gives a shield at the beginning of the fight to Mordekaiser and for 8 seconds. And whenever the shield expires or is broken, the unit will earn 40 AP. So I think this is really cool for Mordekaiser because he will be in the front line. He will tank some damage. He will gain mana from it, of course. That way, Mordekaiser cannot be kind of burst down by, I don't know, a unit with Giant Slayer in front of him, for instance. So with this, it allows him to have more survivability at the beginning of the fight. And then after we have another item that's insane in my opinion for Mordekaiser. It's Nashor's Tooth, so belt and bow. It gives really, really good stats to Mordekaiser because in case you don't know, Mordekaiser has a very low base attack speed, but whenever he attacks, he has a huge AP on hit kind of damage applied, and that's why you want him to have more attack speed and more AP, right? So Natural Tooth, one of the big thing is like whenever Mordekaiser will cast, as you might know already, when he casts, he will deal more damage with his passive, so for 5 seconds, and whenever he kills a unit during these 5 seconds, he will steal health, AD, AP, armor, magic resistance for the rest of the fight. So you want him to kill units during his ability. And with the Natural Tooth, it gives him 40% of attack speed during his whole ability. And that's perfect. That's exactly what Mordekaiser wants. And then the last item I would put is something like Titan to give him more AP, but more importantly, more defense. But I think some things like Hajj, Gunblade, BT could be interesting as well, because even if he has Slayer, he might want to have a little bit more sustain since he's on the front line, right? Exactly like Darius, by the way. And then after, like I said, you want to play with a lot of Slayers. Slayers have been changed a little bit as well. We have new units, and here it doesn't show, but now it's 2, 4, 6, and no longer 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you want to have 4 Slayer, and that way you can add Rek'Sai Scion for Bruiser. You can add Queen. Queen, I think, is going to be a good support unit here because she will be able to apply the Last Whisper on a lot of units, and also her ability makes units take more damage, basically more vulnerable. And obviously you have Aatrox as your last layer. And the next one, I would say, is kind of a reprint from Lux Azir strategies, but this time, of course, Lux disappears. So we're going to use someone else, and we're going to use Bilgewater. You want to roll at level 7 to have Misfortune Nautilus, and you can remove, I don't know if level 7 will play without Talia or Twisted Face. That's something I have to try, or maybe it's just without Swain, we keep those two. I don't really know. But the thing is, for sure, once you have Misfortune 3, Nautilus 3, you can push level 8 and add another unit. I think here the main tank will be Nautilus because he's 3 stars, but also if you don't know, his passive multiply his armor and magic resistance. So that's why if you put defensive island on him, he will get even more defenses. I think that's why Nautilus is better than Nasus. But again, that's something we have to try. This might change in the future, of course, so everything is like subject to change because we're on PBE. And Misfortune has 50 mana, so I think blue buff and full crit is nice because anyway you play 4 strategies, so she will get AP already. Okay, another comp I think that can be very, very strong, but also very, very weak is Rogue. So Rogue, in case you don't know, is kind of reworked a little bit. Now the units will proc the bleed whenever they deal damage or with their attacks or ability. The bleed is of course nerfed and it cannot stack, but that's still a good amount of damage. So I think we can have something nice around reroll around 3 cost units with Echo, Katarina, and Nico. One thing I like about Rogue, I think like most rogues can use the X-style hexes properly, so that's why I feel like you can more or less play flexible with your positioning. And yeah, it's kind of similar to the Echo reroll we had at the beginning of the set 9. Instead here we have 4 rogues, and Kiana would be the one with holding the chalices, and that's pretty much it. And the last comp, I think this one, it will mostly depend on how Silco is good or not. If it's too strong, then this comp is going to be insanely toxic. If Silco is not good enough, then this comp is going to be useless. So it's kind of weird, but basically it's a 6 Bastion, but this time, instead of using Aphelios, like you know already, we're using Silco. So Silco, in case you don't know, he's a mage, sorcerer, who will infect some hexes for 8 seconds. Any enemy on these hexes will take damage every second. Any ally on it will be healed any second. I think this is why you want to play Silco with, of course, mana generation like Shojin, but after just Archangel and Archangel, because the fights will be super long, and at the end he will infect so many hexes, he will deal so much damage, and your Bastion will be on it as well, and your Bastion will heal from that, so that's why I don't think a Gunblade is necessary. And that's pretty much it. You just win the fights after 30 seconds of fights. I guess here something like Vladimir to have Ascension is insane, but of course that's to try. And then after you add a Rise at level 8, or you can add anything else that sounds promising, Emaninger, Rise, you know, this stuff. By the way, I take this opportunity to present the sponsor of my channel. So this is Tacter. This is something I use quite often if you already watched many of my videos. This is where I write guides for the whole set 9, and it is where I'm going to write guides for the set 9.5 as well once it's available. So these guides you can have access for free. You have the link in the description. And this is where I write a lot of details about game plan, early game, mid game, legends, augments, and so on. So this is the kind of stuff you want to check whenever you want to improve on TFT. With that being said, tell me in the comments what kind of comps you want to try, or you already tried, maybe you already played, and tell me how it went. Until then, see you in the next video.